We'll do a roll call.
Commissioner Dr. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Pesevich,
Here.
Commissioner Richardson,
Here.
Commissioner Davis,
Here.
Commissioner Bennett.
Here.
And I did not ask for a motion to open the meeting, but
Residents.
here. We'll do a pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to read those? Yes, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of January 8th, 2024, regular board meeting?
Right.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
And I'll second it.
Second, and I just have one discussion item on the second page column. I think in the fourth one down, I think we said that the Grace Rider, we meet at Grace Rider in June.
Oh, okay.
Is that correct versus August?
That's what I saw.
June.
June, okay, I apologize for that. I had some of my memories.
So do I have a motion then to approve the minutes as amended?
I will make that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Can you say that?
Next item on the agenda.
Are we supposed to do a roll call for that?
Would you like a roll call for that? Vote. Commissioner Dr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Pesevich.
Yeah.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett.
Yes.
All voting in
Passes unanimously. Next item is the Tenants Association. Do you have any comments from the tenants?
Yes. As president of the Tenants Association, I'd like to thank Marshfield Housing for the party for burning on Thursday.
Oh, it was
Yes, it was a great party, everybody had a great time.
Yep.
Then again, our bingo's on, the Tenants Association bingo on Fridays, it's getting more and more people. This week, we actually had 13 people in attendance, which is the most we've ever had.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice
It's gonna work out, everybody's having fun. And we're doing a 50-50 during the Tenants Association, that's the only way we get a little money for our recreation
Sure.
fund. So that's what I've been doing the last couple of bingos.
Great. Thank you.
That's it from the president.
Yeah, I just have a statement I'd like to address. Commissioner Pesevich, no dispute your right to free speech, but I object to outright lies. On February 28th podcast, you once again came out and accused the residents of having fabricated a lie about what you said and what we played at the select board on your hearing on August 31st. You claim the video clip that was played isn't what you said, but in fact, it's exactly what you said. You claim some people in public housing are so-called disabled, and a lot of them are worth a lot of money, but claim they have no money as long as you don't count their lottery tickets. Would you like me to play the clip? I would also like to clarify a conspiracy theory that the residents were incited to stop the petition to have you removed from the Marshfield Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. I, along with another resident, started the petition on our own after viewing outrageous comments you made on public podcasts and the previous problems you had with the law. This is the reason that we, the residents, started the petition. It's totally untrue that we were incited by anybody. I also find it very disturbing that you would publicly tell an unnamed board member to screw you twice on your latest podcast. This is very unprofessional conduct for a commissioner on the Marshfield Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. My understanding as a commissioner on the Marshfield Housing Authority, you should be working with your fellow board members and the executive director to sort out any issues, not to be publicly bashing the residents, your fellow board members, and the executive director. I personally find your conduct disturbing and unprofessional. Respectfully, Donald Clark, 18 T-Rock Gardens.
Would you care to respond to that? Would you please make that as part of the record of the minutes, please? Thank you. Any other comments from the residents? Okay, thank you. Next item, approval of the accounts payables and payments. I know it's in the package.
It's in here.
I saw it too.
I know
There
it's
it
here.
I may have to borrow it.
It's 2 pages.
Yes,
That.
short.
You only have a comment?
In the 9,000 pages.
All right.
I have a question.
Any comments on?
Yeah, I have a question if I may. The item payment 15736, Bay State Sewage Disposal. Just wondering what the location is where that was done. Is that
That's Grace Ryder.
Grace Drive. That's all I had.
Any other comments on that?
It's pretty straightforward.
I'll make a motion to accept the accounts payable, payment number 15735 through 15739, $50,000, $141.82.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion?
It's more than 51. What was the amount of motion?
50141.82.
All right. Sorry.
Seeing no discussion,
Commissioner,
take the vote.
Commissioner Tomkadillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Pasavich,
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett.
Yes.
Thank you. Next item is motion to authorize the executive director to enter into a contract with Shell Energy for the purpose of supplying electricity for a rate of 0.11 or 11 cents for a period of 3 years beginning on July 1, 2024.
Mr. Chairman, if I could give you some information regarding this. So our energy contract is up as of July 1. Historically, the gas prices were at the lowest point that they've been in a very, very, very long time. The Marshfield Housing Authority has the ability to piggyback on the contract for the Quincy Housing Authority, which is one of the largest users of electricity. The only reason why we're able to secure this rate for Marshfield is because we're tying this contract to the Quincy contract. You would never get a rate like this for an agency of this size. So we've shopped this out. The prices that were being thrown around were as high as 18 cents. This is a huge savings and a huge benefit to the authority. That's all I have.
How does this relate to the solar, the solar energy costs? The contract with the...
This is buying this is buying and locking in your your supply rate for
Okay.
3 years.
But it's not related to that previous contract we had, and that is expired, or is it expiring?
No, this
Or
isn't
preferable
solar.
preferable to us, or is this separate?
Separate.
Okay. And the rate is 11,574?
No, 0.11.
And I think it was slightly different than what's on the agenda that's in the contract, if I remember right.
I believe it's 0.11. John, was
Was
that,
that 11-2?
was it 11.2?
Yeah, I thought it was 11-2. Off the top of my head, I don't have it in front of me.
Let me check here. You are correct. It's 112.00, which comes out to 0.112. You're right. Yep. Sorry about that.
All right, that's still a great rate.
It's an incredible rate.
I mean, to compare, it, currently the town of Marshfield is getting 16.7 cents.
Yeah, they were quoting Marshfield alone at like 18. But when we tied it to the contract, we basically cut it down to 11 cents.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna go tell Michael Maresco that he's.
I don't know if I can help him, but I'm certainly gonna help here.
See where it says fixed price, so it's 100.
Yeah, but then you divide that, and it's 11.2.
Yeah, you have to move the decimal point. Mhm.
Any further discussion?
I just, maybe I misheard something you said, Mr. Director, that it was based on gas prices.
Electricity is based on gas prices. The gas futures drive electricity because electricity is generated using gas.
But in the contract, it says that they go from a pool in New England, which includes hydro and a bunch of other things. I just didn't understand why you specifically tied it to gas. Is that because of the source?
No, so when we're bidding electricity, the gas futures drive the bidding of electricity. So when we're trying to secure the rate, the futures for gas drive the electricity price. So the reason why we're trying to lock in at a low rate is because the gas prices historically were at a very, very, very low rate when we negotiated this contract, which enabled us to get this price. So when they send over the electricity price for the day, they also send over the gas future price. And you will see that the gas future price drives the electricity cost.
And one other thing is are other housing authorities sort of in on the same deal? Are they able to budget?
There's going to be 5 housing authorities tied into the same deal, yes.
Probably negotiate a good
So
price.
those, the other housing authorities are the ones that the Quincy Housing Authority will manage.
Obviously, the small ones are just along for the ride. The real user of electricity is the Quincy Housing Authority. When you have, 80 to 100 units, you're not really using the energy that we are with almost 1,700 units. So it's the driving force is the main energy user. But yes, the rate's the same for all 5.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion
A second?
I'll second it. Do a contract with Shell Energy.
Commissioner Delgado?
Yes.
Commissioner Pesovich?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Daly?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Next item is motion to cancel the July 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting.
Mr. Chairman, typically we don't have board meetings in July for any of our authorities. So I wanted to bring this to you early on so that there wouldn't be any controversy about the fact that typically we cancel the July board meeting. The week of July 4th is the first week in July, which will be your board meeting. Typically, we do not have any heavy agenda items in that time of the year. That most of the contractors are slow that time, and it's typically not a big demand. In the event that we have anything pressing, I would reach out to the board to have a meeting specifically for the purpose that we need it for. In other words, if there are any pressing agenda items or motions that need to be passed, I would reach out and ask the board to have a special meeting.
And do a number of employees of the QHA take vacation around that time also?
The majority, yes.
So that would potentially hinder your ability to prepare a report for July meeting.
You typically, there's not much on the agenda in July, but yes, most of the staff take vacation, so.
John May.
May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to not hold a Board of Commissioners meeting for the month of July 2024.
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? Seeing none, take a vote.
Commissioner Delgadillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Passadich?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Daley?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Next item is motion to approve the June 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting, to move the June 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting to Grace Ryder.
Yes, this was at the request of the board that we move the board meeting to Grace Ryder for one of the board meetings, so we thought that June would be a good month to do so. So you've asked for it, it's now on the agenda so that we can post it for Grace Ryder in June.
May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Commissioner Delgadillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Passadich?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Daley?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
And all the tenants here from T-Rock are invited over there in June. And I think if I remember correctly, we said that we would provide a bus if needed.
We can if needed.
John's gonna stay.
We'll see if there's interest before that way.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody has a car and transportation, then there's no need of it. But
And how about parking over there? Though?
There's plenty of parking.
there's a lot of parking.
Enough parking?
Yeah, we can use John's yacht.
Soccer field? All right, motion, next item, motion to alter the dates of the management contract between Marshfield Housing Authority and Quincy Housing Authority. The 5-year contract is in full force, and at the request of EOHLC, the end date is requested to run concurrently with the year end for the agency. The new end date would be June 30, 2026. Upon approval of the current contract, would be altered to include the new end date.
So, Mr. Chairman, this came about from an email from EOHLC reviewing the contract with the Marshfield Housing Authority and the Quincy Housing Authority. EOHLC has very specific guidelines that any contract that the Housing Authority enters into for the purpose of management agreements are to end on the fiscal year of the Housing Authority. Back when we extended the current contract for 5 years, we ended it in March rather than ending it with your fiscal year in June. So EOHLC has asked that you make a motion and make a vote and alter the current contract and initial it to indicate that the contract ends on June 30th with your fiscal year, not in March.
So may I have a motion?
I'll make a
Discussion.
motion to,
After the motion.
Right, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to amend the contract between Marshfield Housing Authority and the Quincy Housing Authority to indicate a new end date of June 30th, 2026.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, a couple of comments. When that extension was done, was it done for 5 years or was it done for 3 years?
Done for 5.
Because I had thought, I had read the minutes and at the time, I think, John, you were on the board.
So that
And
there
it was
was,
done for 3. There was a debate whether it should be a 1-year extension or a 3-year.
there was a discussion at the board meeting at the time whether it should be 1, 3, or 5. And everybody definitely agreed it should be for 3. And most members said it should be, wanted it to be for 5. There was one board member who wanted it to be for 3. And it came up to, for a vote. And it was voted, I believe, 4-1 for a 5-year extension.
Yeah, it was like 4-1, 3-1, I forget.
And, the contract is, it can be canceled by either party
Yeah,
at any time
yep.
without cost.
I understand that, John.
Correct.
And the other point I had was, that was extended in March. So it ended up not being a 5-year contract, but actually a 5 and a third year contract, or something like that.
So, well, now it'll be
And now that the end
March
of the end date.
21 to June 30, 2026.
That's all I had.
Call for a vote?
Commissioner Delgadillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Passadich?
I'm abstaining because I'm not clear on some facts, so thank you.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Daly?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes,
So it passes 4-1.
4-0, one abstention.
I'm sorry. 4-0 with 1 abstention. Thank you. Under old new business, I once again neglected to put the bylaws on the agenda. So I'd like to move that. I've already asked Colleen to put it on the agenda for April.
May I bring up an old business item?
Any other old business?
Thank you. So formal. I appreciate it. How's things going on Webster Street with the repair? I noticed the tarp is still there.
Things are moving along. We had to wait for clearance from the DEP regarding the asbestos on the site. Had to do a notification to DEP, and the asbestos being abated, and the project is moving forward. That's a project that is being run by DHCD. It's OHLC through the insurance. So that's for Rika who's on the job. So it's not the Housing Authority, it's not a force account job, and we're not running the job, they're running the job. It's an insurance claim.
And may I ask, where was the asbestos? Was it in interior materials or was it?
It was in the wallboard, in the joint compound, and in the wallboard.
So they have no, by the way, what happened to the family that was there?
They're staying with some relatives.
Okay. And are they being compensated and helped out in some way? Or?
Yep, we took care of moving them, and we're taking care of them, yep.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Anybody else have anything? Next item is any other business not anticipated by myself, and there's none. Executive Director's report. I would like to make one comment prior to the Executive Director giving the report. Joe, you had asked me to include on the agenda an item about hiring procedures.
Yeah.
And I purposely, you and I had correspondence back and forth, and I felt it wasn't appropriate to actually have part of the agenda on the basis that the only hiring decision we as a board make is of the executive director. And we made the decision to hire the Quincy Housing Authority as our managing agent, which included an executive director. So that's why I didn't feel it was appropriate. However, with respect to you, that, you wanted that on the agenda, James and I did talk, and James agreed that he would discuss hiring practices of the Quincy, Housing Authority. And it is within his domain and his responsibility to really do the hiring. And the only hiring, again, that we do is of an executive director or a managing agency, which will then bring an executive director on board. So, any board commissioner really can request to have a meeting with the executive director. I've asked that if you want to have a phone call with an executive director or a meeting with an executive director, go through the chair, and you can request that meeting so that we do not have to take up board time to discuss, policies, procedures that are in place and that, are being executed appropriately, by the Quincy Housing Authority as our managing agent. But I have made an exception this time because, you are a new board member, but you do have the ability to sit, with the executive director. You do have the ability to talk to him on the phone. And I would encourage you, to come to me to do that in the future so that, we don't spend time at a board meeting and have everybody else involved in that.
Appreciate that. And as I expressed to you, as long as I know what the policies are, that they're in writing someplace, that's part of our overall oversight responsibility. I understand what you mean by the specific hiring and supervision, but it's the idea that there's got to be a policy and it's got to be open. And one question maybe the director can answer is how a job's posted, for example. Is that included in the guidelines?
So we advertise all jobs. Typically, we advertise them on Indeed. Indeed encompasses a whole bunch of different newspapers and printing. In the case of Marshfield, because it's a small local community, we also advertise in the local Marshfield paper, as well as several different websites. We've got a very large pool of candidates that we'll be interviewing, and typically we choose the candidate who has the best experience and is going to provide the best resources to the housing authority. There are a lot of factors that we consider, such as experience, such as people that live locally that can be available for emergencies, and people that are going to help us with the goals that we have and the projects that need to get done, and they have the ability to do that. So we run queries on every employee that we have. We do thorough background checks. We check their insurance rating to make sure that they're capable of driving a vehicle, getting on our insurance policy. We check references, and we hire the best candidate for the job.
Are there EOHLC policies or anything like that?
There are plenty of EOHLC policies regarding, nepotism. If there's a family member, we have to submit in a request for, we have to request a waiver to hire someone that's a family member. We typically have to disclose that every year on our annual certifications. We disclose any family members that are related to any other family members that work within any of the agencies. Those are all required by EOHLC.
And ethics law.
Well, ethics law pertains to the individual. The individual has to reach out to the Ethics Commission. The Housing Authority does not.
I have nothing else right now. But thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, James.
You're welcome.
Next item on the agenda is the Executive Director's Report.
So I want to make an announcement that on April 2nd, 2024, at the board meeting at 5 p.m. will be a public hearing and the vote for the FY 2025 annual plan, which includes the capital plan. The plan has to be submitted to EOHLC no later than April 30th, 2024. That's just an announcement. Secondly, in your board reports, I provided you with a document that was requested by Mr. Pesovich. It's called the Primary Subsidy Agreement, something that you had said that you didn't have an opportunity to review. I provided you with a copy of it. It's in your file, in your folder there, so that you would have it and know what that document looked like and what it says and what it is. As far as for my report goes, we've done snow removal and ice removal on the storms that we had. 305 Webster Street, as I explained, was delayed due to the asbestos. Also, there are some structural issues that have been identified at that house. When the tree went through, they've determined that the roof is not structurally up to code, so there are going to have to be some structural changes made, and there's a structural engineer that's now been hired on the job to determine what improvements need to be made to bring it up to code since the roof was damaged. We had a kickoff meeting for the septic tie-in project here at T-Rock Gardens. We did another food delivery. We had the grasshopper repaired. The grasshopper was left in a garage for, I don't know, maybe 10 years in total disarray. We finally had an opportunity to get that repaired. It's up and running, and it's a great machine. It's a very old machine, but it's a good machine. We finished the insulation upgrade here at T-Rock Gardens. The new maintenance truck has been delivered. We should be picking it up this week. We've ordered all the logos for it. We'll be logoing up the new maintenance truck. We have advertised for the new maintenance position, and we have interviews tomorrow, actually. Valentine's Day celebration for the residents. We did a blood pressure clinic with the Marshfield Fire Department. Had a healthy eating demonstration with Rufus Restaurant. Scheduling a full health demonstration in March, and scheduling of the St. Patrick's Day celebration. Scheduling of the tenant meeting, which we had with Ernie's recognition, went fantastic, and we have hired new uniforms for the staff for the upcoming summer months. Other than that, that's all that I have for the board.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I comment on something? I feel I need to commend you and your team, James, especially John, because he showed me the grasshopper and how magically it got transformed from a heap of rusty junk kind of thing to a very expensive piece of machine for very little money. So
The
I
Housing Authority had it.
commend you for that.
You guys had that piece of equipment for years, and it's been sitting up in the garage at Grace Rider all beat up for 10 years. It's a
It was in
grasshopper.
shed.
It's actually a diesel. It's actually a diesel riding lawnmower diesel. A very expensive machine with a great cutting radius, and it was just left in. I mean, it was just torn apart and just left broken down, sitting in the garage. But we had the whole thing rebuilt, and it's a spectacular machine.
What does something like that go for new?
20, 30,000. Those, I mean, the riding lawnmowers that we buy, they're 15,000 bucks, like nothing. Yeah, the Skags, I mean, but this is a diesel machine. I mean, this is a heavy-duty piece of equipment. It actually has a snow blower attachment too.
Wow.
I mean, it's a real nice piece of equipment.
It was a huge savings and beautiful piece
Yep.
of shit.
Yeah.
Reviving the dead.
Thank you. Did any of the board members have any questions on the financials that were submitted? Rather expensive.
I do want to make the board aware that today, this morning, when the automatic rent withdrawals went through, the bank pressed the button twice and automatically took out the rents twice, and then immediately sent an email to the Housing Authority apologizing and saying that they were going to issue corrective action immediately.
Every
And
time.
the bank has reached out and has resolved that issue. I think it was resolved within an hour.
Yeah, it was.
But the bank has sent over a letter accepting full responsibility, and they apologized, and I believe they offered concessions to all the tenants to make sure that that wasn't going to be problematic to anybody, so. But it has been rectified, and it was rectified immediately.
Thank you for letting us know that.
Yeah, no problem.
So I just want to go through these, make sure that commissioners don't have any questions on the notice of public hearing that was sent out.
Which notice are you talking about? All that, you know.
And then also the MHA proposed annual plan for fiscal year 2025 for state-aided public housing. And, in here it does show the LHA Board of Commissioners and their beginning date and ending date. And I'm not sure if anybody else notices this, but my ending date was 2018.
State appointee.
State appointee.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, you're still here.
Congratulations. The rules say that you stay until you're reappointed.
We'll throw you a party.
So basically, I'm on the board for life until the governor. Or unless I, ask to be removed, and that's how I actually got appointed as the governor's appointee. The prior governor's appointee, Otis Carney, who is no longer with us, said that he would like to resign, and he interviewed me.
I believe the town can send a request to have you updated. I
And
believe
so
that they
then,
can.
yeah, the state representative submitted something to the governor
Yep.
and appointed me.
They are traditionally, the agencies very behind on the appointments.
It's across the state.
Anybody have any questions on any of this that was submitted?
No. It was a
And
lot.
also, on the annual plan, the capital improvement plan, I did have one, I think, question on this. I know the flood elevation surveys, we got a total cost in there, that goes under,
That's a grant.
that goes under the grant, that's, yeah. So there were a number of items in here, if anybody looks at this, there are a number of items in here. So if you look at the first page, it's item 171097. It'll show total cost is $22,279, and then we don't put anything in there under the CIP, the capital improvement plan for 5 years. But if you go to another page within this report, it will show underneath the grant that the $22,279 is requested. So just, when you go through it, just keep reading, and I think you may answer some of the questions that you may have about some of the numbers. I think there might have been only one item on the, somewhere in here, that I was wondering if we could move up.
The other item that I meant to bring to your attention is the refrigerator grant. We're now on our third request for the refrigerator grant, and they're telling me that we're going to have an answer very shortly on whether or not they're going to accept us into this program. So it certainly is not going to be for lack of trying if we don't get it, but we are trying, and we have tried and tried, and
Okay.
I'm still hopeful.
All right. The one that I was wondering about, it's exterior lighting for the Grace Rider complex. And it's for $10,276, and it's in fiscal year 2028. Is it a real security issue if we don't do that?
Actually, it was me who put that on there. I drive by Grace Rider at night, and the front of the building just looks dark to me. I feel like it needs some additional lighting. So I put that on there, but I didn't put it on there as a high priority because I've never gotten a complaint about it. It's just something that I noticed that I think it could be better enhanced security-wise by having some more lighting. But you have a pretty expensive capital plan, you have some expensive needs.
We do.
And the needs are being addressed, but I didn't feel that that was a real high priority.
Okay.
But I still observed that I think it could use some extra lighting.
Any other thoughts on that by any board member? Okay.
Actually, I do have a question, if I may, Mr. Chair. So are these in priority, in order of priority?
The way that you want to look at these is, so the ones that have numbers associated with them, those are assigned numbers, so those have funding in place.
The funding is in place?
So the ones that don't have numbers in them are in the plan, but the funding, I mean, you don't have enough money. You run out of money.
Kind of
with
a
the
wish
ones-
list, so to speak.
Those are, so the annual plan is exactly that. It's a 5-year wish list. It has all the items in it that we think you're going to need, and then that needs to be modified and changed with priorities that come up. So if you had a catastrophe tomorrow, and you lost a boiler and a water tank, it's gonna pop up on there as an emergency, and it's gonna push things down the road, because you only get so much money.
Right.
So,
So Cecilia, they're not listed in priority order, but if you look at the years,
Yep.
that's the priority.
that's right.
No, I did see, and it does move, so to speak.
It's always
As-
gonna move.
Yep, so I just wanted to make sure that
Yep.
I was
So the
reading it
5-year
properly.
plan is just what you said, it's a wish list, but every year, we submit in a 1-year plan
Right.
based on the 5-year plan. So next year, when we submit in our 1-year plan, it may look different from what that is right
Yeah,
now.
based on what occurs.
Based on what happens, we may have to move some things up, we may have to push some things down. Every time we get any grant money, that grant money does not affect us at all. So those projects that we get for grants, that doesn't come out of any of your capital spending, and that doesn't affect your capital spending. So like the sewer tie-in project, that's a grant, so that's not coming out of your needs. The refrigerator project that we're trying to get, that's a grant, so that doesn't come out of your capital needs. The insulation, all those things that the grant money applies to, doesn't affect it. It shows up in your capital plan because we're maintaining a record of the capital improvements that are done to the authority, but it doesn't deduct from the capital spending that you're allowed to do.
So the same thing would apply to any CPC grant that's awarded by
That's
the
right,
town?
just like the generators.
Right,
So the generators is coming from CPC. It's showing up here as a project, but its funding source is not coming out of your capital improvement money. We'll be billing the town to the CPC for that project. Just like the Federal Pacific upgrade. The Federal Pacific upgrade, which is required to do the generator project, is an ARPA project, funded through the ARPA Special Funds Award through the state. So that too is not coming out of your capital plan.
right.
You would never have enough money to do the things that are being done, is my point.
So also then under the CPC, if we ever put in another application to CPC, sometimes CPC will say yes, but they'll say yes, but let's do it on a phased basis.
Or a prior year or something.
Right.
Right.
So the money could be expended over X number of fiscal years.
So one of the items I have in there is repair to the cupola at Grace Rider. I strongly urge the Housing Authority to, going forward in the upcoming years, to apply for a CPC grant, because that would be a perfect project for CPC, to restore the cupola up there at Grace Rider.
So we should talk further about that. And
Yeah.
I know, trying to remember the gentleman's name, but who...
Rick Rulad?
Rick,
Yeah.
thank you. Who really worked with the CPC last
Yes.
time on the
Yep.
generators.
Yeah, the cupola is starting to show signs of aging and rotting.
So when do we need to start to consider that?
We'll have to contact the town and see when they have the application period for CPC.
Because CPC application period closed, but it'll open again and then close in September.
So that's when we want to apply.
So you would probably want to get together sometime in the summer to
Yeah.
start working on
If
that.
somebody can let me know when that period is, we certainly should submit in an application for that. I definitely think it's a viable project for CPC funds.
Okay, yes.
Mr. Chair, can I ask James a question about the refrigerator? So when they came around a couple weeks ago,
Excuse me, she should identify herself.
So, could you just identify yourself for the
sorry.
minutes?
Dottie Wolf, you want my address? When they came around and measured, that wasn't for that reason.
It is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what they did was they measured all of the refrigerators, but they brought in a device that measures demand, and they plugged it into some of the refrigerators. I don't know if you were one of the ones that they did or not, but, so they plugged the device in, and when the refrigerator kicks on, it draws a certain amount of energy. They can only replace refrigerators that exceed the amount allowable.
Yeah.
So they have to show, and they have to demonstrate to the energy companies that there's going to be a savings by replacing the refrigerators. If they can't show that, then they can't get the grant approved. So that's why we had so much difficulty these couple of times, yes.
Randy Coates, 19C. If this grant goes through, are we gonna, is it mandatory we get new refrigerators, or what if we bought our own refrigerator?
If you bought your own refrigerator and you want to keep it, I guess you could keep it. you'll miss out on getting a new one.
No, but it,
But if you, I mean, if you bought your own, you know, we're not gonna tell you that you can't keep it.
because some people are worried, one individual paid over $800 for his, and he doesn't want to give it up.
And don't,
Well, I'm just asking. if
yeah,
it's mandatory.
he can keep it.
What are they gonna do with the,
Could I just make one comment? As you speak,
Oh,
just
sorry.
please identify yourself
Diana.
and then.
Diana Harvey, building 15. Are we gonna donate the ones we take out, or?
It's required that they take them.
Oh.
So the only way they can give you one is if they take one.
Oh.
And they have to dispose of it, and they have to dispose of it properly. There's a whole recycling process that they have to go through as part of the grant, so.
So should I put in an ad, you'll let us know when they're coming, and I'll sell mine?
Then you won't get one. You didn't have one.
So you got down on apartment 4. So if you get don't take a refrigerator because you just bought one. When you die or move away from T-Rock, do you have to leave that refrigerator here? It belongs to you.
What, you gonna care?
No. Because how are you gonna get more refrigerators if my family were to take the refrigerator? You'll be putting in for rent.
I really don't like morbid thoughts.
They surround us.
I'm gonna pass on this.
We're all around it, it's all around us.
Yes.
I just have one more. You want my name again?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, right.
So you say that they plugged in something, and if
Yes.
it exceeds that,
Yes.
it's mandatory. If it passes,
Mhm.
you'll get one. What about if your refrigerator breaks after the fact?
They're not responsible.
So only the people,
So they're giving us the refrigerators. If they break a year from now,
no, I mean the one we have now. Say mine breaks after, but I'm not over that exceeded amount of,
no, if
energy.
we get them, we're getting them for everyone.
oh,
So they do a sample,
all right,
and through that sample, they determine whether they're all gonna be replaced or
all
not.
right, good. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes.
Annette Johnson. Diana had a good point. If you own the refrigerator you have now,
Oh, that's true.
and the new ones come in, who owns the new ones that come in? I know you said you didn't want to go there, but
No doubt.
No, do you have a place to store them?
I will talk to the people that are in charge of the grant. I'm gonna suggest that you do, but I'm gonna verify that for you.
okay, and I'm just gonna disagree with you. Only because when you move into an apartment, usually there's an apartment, there's a refrigerator there.
Yep,
Refrigerator, stove. I was kind of taken aback
yeah, so was I.
when I had to go and purchase one.
Mhm.
Yep.
We all
Me too.
We all do.
Yep,
So it's like, that's just my
yes.
opinion.
I believe it's yours after they install it, but I'm gonna verify that for you. Let's hope we get them.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid of dying, gentlemen.
Let's hope not anytime soon.
It happens.
Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Thank you. Appreciate your report. Anyone have anything else to say? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
Commissioner Delgadillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Pastovich?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
Commissioner Daley?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
And it is 5:52.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great night.